Welcome back to another mini update on the Rock Racer. So you can see here it's already looking a little different. So I switched out the tires to these new RC4 drive Boggers. These are a little bit taller and they've got the larger lugs, this new style. So I put those on there with foams in the back and no foams in the front and was testing it a little bit. And these are super sticky, really soft, the S2X compound. And I proceeded to glitch out my servo. So the servo was just not doing anything and it was causing all the LEDs to kind of flicker. So I plugged it up to another vehicle to test it, did the same thing on that one. So the servo, this is one of the black label Mofo servos, is toast. If you'll remember from before, I was running these Endura Chiracs rock tire Super Swampers that are kind of like the Hyrax, but they've got the really square edge. And I just wasn't having a lot of luck with these tires. I had to do a lot of wheel speed spin up to get grip a lot of times, especially outdoor. I vented these, I ran the front with no foams, the rear with foams, and I still really you just can't get a lot of give out of these tires. I think it's maybe the square edge profile. Unmounted they don't feel too bad, but just performance wise. So that led me to these, but you know, like I said, the servo is toast, and you can see I was still tuning weight. I added a little weight to the top of that servo as well. So this is sat now for a week or so, even longer, while I've been waiting on my servo mount and servos. So I decided to try this Ecopower servo here. I have not used one of these yet. This is fairly new to the market. And I'm going to pair that, since I want a little more weight up front, I'm going to pair that with this brass Samix servo tray that fits the Emax and this Ecopower. So I will remove this aluminum Mofo servo tray and transfer that to another vehicle. And then another bit of tuning, I picked up these brass rings from Mofo RC, and these should fit, hopefully, these Power Hobby wheels. I'll test them out, but Mofo RC sells some wheels that are similar that these are supposed to fit. So just knowing the industry and the fact that most of these wheels are the same wheels just knocked off over and over, I'm hoping those rings are going to fit on this, so that'll give me a little more weight bias up front as well. So not a lot to do on this one, just a little bit of tuning. So let's get to it. All right, I figured I'd jump into the easiest thing first and look at the wheel weights. And as you can see, they do fit these Power Hobby wheels, same ring size. I've got it set in here. So it looks like that's going to work for the front wheels. And then I've got my tires out here. Let me take a look at these. So I've got a foamed and a no foam and foamed. So these are that X2 S3 compound. So they're very gummy, very pliable. Let's do the foamed one. So they are pretty sticky and gummy. So I'm looking at putting something in the front rather than no foam. So rather than running the foams that it comes with, which are these, I'm looking at these Patagonia foams that are a little wider, tad bit shorter, and you can see they're different foam. So this is denser, it's much softer. So rather than cutting up some Crawler Innovations foams that I've got, I'm going to start tuning and try these first and see if that gives me a little softer front end. And then the rears, I will probably just leave the stock ones in for now, they're not bad. And I've also got some alternates here. That's another thing I'm going to start doing, is some alternate wheels and tires for vehicles. So these are also new from RC4 Drive, the narrow Super Swampers. So these look really nice. Got a really big lug here on the outside. So now they've got a really complete Super Swamper lineup with the Boggers, the Super Swampers, and the Thornbirds. So you can see the Super Swampers are a little, well, they're a little smaller, I would say, just barely. But I would say they're probably about the same once you get them mounted up. But again, it's that X2S compound, really gummy, really sticky. So while I've got these out and we're looking at these Boggers, I figured let's take a close look at what's all on the market here for Boggers. So I've got some various ones here. So these are labeled All-Star Hobby Super Swampers, but these are obviously Boggers. These were sold by Enjora. So you can see there they've got the same lug pattern. It's a smaller lug, but it's a larger tire, a little bit wider. Got these on the new deep dish kinetic rims. These are vintage, so that's got just a great feel. This rubber is nice and soft. It's not as gummy as the X2S3 compound, but that's the big guy in the category. And you've got the original RC4 Drive Bogger, which is smaller diameter, a little narrower, and it's got the smaller tread pattern as well. And this is their just X2 compound, I believe, for these originals, or X3. So it's still very soft, but it's not as sticky and gummy, but it does have some stickiness to it. But these are just super flexible, gummy. And then the fourth option here is the smallest yet widest from Power Hobby. So again, these are called Swamp, but they're obviously Boggers. And then they go back up to a larger tread pattern, but they've got the smallest diameter overall, but they're probably the widest. Yeah, they look like they're even wider than the All-Star Hobbies. Maybe just by a hair, about even. So you would have the All-Star, you'd have the new Bogger, you'd have the old Bogger, and then you'd have the Power Hobby Swamp as far as your diameter, size. So that's kind of the look of them. These Power Hobby are also super gummy. Like these may be even gummier than the RC4 Drive X2S3 compound. And these are sticky, icky. And this does have a foam in it. So these are right up there with some of the gummiest and softest. So I really like these so far, but we'll be putting these on today with the Super Swampers as future alternates with some other wheels. All right, got the servo pulled out. Didn't even have to take the front wheels off. It's so nice working with a buggy kind of build. You can access everything. So I put the tires back on, and I really like this Patagonia's foams in here in the front. It's a little bit softer. So onto the servo. You can see I've got it gutted. The Samix uses 1.5 millimeter hardware, so it's a little larger on the posts. Comes with three screws, 2 equal length and 1 for you to just toss aside, I guess, because the link mounts and everything else is the typical 0.050 inch hardware for the SCX24. So here's the mofo next to it. The mofo is still more compact as far as the depth. So I can stack these up on the face. As you can see, the link mount is a little bit tucked in. I think I've got those even. And I like how these are beefier on the mofo. Now this is the aluminum mount with the older plastic blocks, but this does have nice weight. And since this has no bumper or body, I don't need any adjustability. I really just want a little weight, so I'm going to use this on another build that I could, benefit from being able to use these posts and adjust their position. So then we've got the servos. The gearing is a little smaller. This Black Label servo horn won't fit on that one. I just tested it, so I'll have to Sharpie up a new one to match. And then I guess let's get these stacked up the same way. So there's the face. Let's get, I guess, from the tabs are aligned. So the mofo is not as deep. You can see the gear sticks way further out on the Ecopower, so that's very similar to the Emax. It's got this big round plastic piece. So we'll get that in there. I'm happy to ditch this weight on top. It was blocking my light bar that's hanging below the bumper. So it's, replace that weight with this brass weight essentially, and then adding a little more brass with these rings in the front. So let me get that servo in there, and I'll have to rewrap this little post, fish it through, and get it all tidied up, and then we'll be running. Quick shot here before I get this installed. You can see I did have to use some little washers between the posts and the servo mount. And you can see the back edge here is now basically right there. So without those, it was really kind of, when you tightened it down, it was really flexing these servo ears, and since they're slotted instead of a hole, I just didn't want to crack them off. So putting those little washers in works. Second little thing to note, the little servo horn screw, it's not a Phillips, it's a Torx, so it's a little T6 star head. So hopefully you've got some specialty little driver tips. I don't know why they couldn't just use a common Phillips for that, but something to know. One more little installation hiccup. You can see the raw metal there. I had to Dremel just a little bit off of that to basically make it flush with the back edge. My link on each side, since this is 4-linked and they're coming in from the sides, they were kind of hitting that and binding the screw, and since this is metal, I don't want to strip that, so it has to go in straight. So I just wanted to clearance that off a little more, and that should allow for each of those links to attach from the outside. So should have this on shortly. One more quick installation note here that I almost forgot. If you're going to do a 4-link on the front like I did with this servo tray, you're going to need to use a micro nut to back up the passenger side. The 3-link mount is not threaded on this side, it is over here, so you can screw right into it. So just something to know. Use some Loctite, it's all metal. Alright, servo's installed, powered up. Not extremely fast. And this is on the BEC, the little FuryTech BEC. I should check this battery voltage, see if it's fully charged. But not bad, at least it works. So we'll have to see running it what the longevity is. So you can see there in the back I've got some wheels now mounted into these alternate TSL narrow Super Swampers. So these are these Nitro Hobbies or NHX wheels with brass inner rings. I was going to use them on another build. You know, I still don't know if they look great on this. I'll mount them up and we can take a look at them. May end up with some alternate wheels for this one as well to go with these tires. I really like these rims. I don't know if I found the right vehicle for the look of them, but we'll get them mounted up and take a look. But as it sits right now, really like these new Boggers. I think they totally changed the look of this from the high racks or chai racks that were on there. I think the Mofo Black Label was definitely quicker, but I won't judge this Ecopower just yet until we get it out and run it. But let me throw those wheels on there. Alternate tires on potentially alternate rims. So tell me what you think. I definitely like the look of the tires. These definitely look meaner, and I really do like kind of the blackout look on this rig versus the gray. But these look really good. They've got a similar knob to the Boggers. If you look at the lug on the Bogger, that's kind of what these big guys on the side look like. So it'll be interesting to see how these perform. The Bogger's a little bit taller, a little bit wider. But I think it's two good options for this vehicle. And it gives it a little more height, which will help with this long wheelbase and dragging that belly. So next thing is to get it out and test run. So tell me what you think in the comments about the wheels and tires. If you like the gray, if I should pick out some new wheels as alternates. But I'm excited to get this thing back up and running. So thanks for watching.